10 teams have now lost in the playoffs, and we discussed them at length in our last episode that never aired. So we are going to blitz through the 6 teams that lost last week, and then we're going to talk, 2 weeks ago, and then we're going to talk about the 4 teams that lost this past weekend in the divisional round at a bit more length. But I will let you blitz through these first 6 teams, which are the Steelers, Broncos, Chargers, Bucks, Packers, and Vikings that all lost on wild card round.
Yes. I know there's that whole segment of like fastest 2 minutes. That's what I'm aiming for with this blitz right now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off with the Steelers. We have $58 million in cap space for them to spend, but they have quarterback questions. Losing Russ and Fields, their contracts are both up. Which one will they extend? Will they keep either? Those are the main questions heading into the offseason for them, along with the running back room with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren both having their contracts be up as well. Then we move on to the Broncos with $58 million in cap space. That's ironic because they're still paying Russ $32 million and they only have $58 million in cap space. Their main questions are just their depth at tackle and Javonte Williams. Really, they're in a good situation with that amount of money and those few primary contracts being up. Then we get onto the Chargers, $78 million in cap space, a lot of money there, but they have a lot of pieces to retain for that defense, which was one of the best in the league in points per game allowed. And with that defense, you are losing Asante Samuel along with 3 other cornerbacks who are on their final year of their contracts running out there. And then we have J.K. Dobbins. They brought in for a year. He's performed great. Will they extend him? And then back to the defense, Khalil Mack and Morgan Fox on that D line. Really, I would see them pivot and primarily get all of those defensive players, as many as they can, back, along with extending J.K. Dobbins for that consistency year to year because he had a great year. And then we get into the Bucks with $22 million in cap space. Chris Godwin is the primary name leaving, but with his injuries concerns, I could see him actually leaving Tampa, walking out the door, especially with the comeuppance of McMillan. And then their depth O-lineman is another big issue with the team. They are losing 5 offensive linemen, all of them backups, but that is still pricey at only $22 million in cap space. And then along with that, they are losing 3 linebackers, one of which is Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. So, edge versatility there. Then we get onto the Packers, $63 million in cap space. That's a good position to be at. They are losing 2 corners with Corey Ballantyne, Eric Stokes, 3 tackles, and a center. So I would look to see them try to retain some of that talent, specifically at center, because you have that center and quarterback connection going so well. And then you go ahead and try to maybe retain the better of the corners or hit market with the corners. $73 million in cap space for the Vikings. Sam Darnold, big question mark on if he will get a big extension or if they will move on to the injured rookie this season and, second year player from the Michigan quarterback. Why can't I remember his name?
J.J. McCarthy.
So yes, J.J. McCarthy. There we go. And move on to him or maybe get up another free, cheap quarterback moving into next season. Then
maybe
Aaron
Kirk
Jones.
Cousins.
They had Then Aaron Jones. They had him for just the season, pulled him from a division rival. He had a productive year, but I'm not sure enough to really garner much more money being spent on him. $73 million in cap space, good position to be at. Now we have hit the divisional round, and you get to start us off with the Texans because I need a break.
Drink some water, buddy. So we start off with the Texans, who lost to the Chiefs. They have $10 million in cap space and are losing Stephon Diggs and Robert Woods out of their wide receiver room, and then Jeff Okudah and Foley Fadusaki out of their DB room and offensive line.
Fadusaki, defensive line.
Defensive line. Knew he was a big boy. So just depends on what they want to do to retain here, what they think they can replace in the draft and in free agency, and what moves they might want to make to shore up that offensive line, which is an issue. So we may see some cuts. We may see some increases in that cap space by any means necessary. So,
I could see Diggs getting extended here because he's on a void year. So they're still paying him this year, despite him not playing for them. You extend him, you get some more years, you push back the void, and you can create a little bit of cap space by doing that move itself. But you're still paying him, so the cap probably wouldn't increase by too much. I'll go ahead and lead us off into the Lions, who have $68 million. Carlton Davis, Marcus Davenport, who was on IR all year, so hopefully maybe he'd consider coming back if we wanted him back. Kevin Zeitler and Tim Patrick, Dan Skipper, these are big names, but I would say Carlton Davis, big leader in the DB room. We had great play from him all year, really, and they would definitely want to bring him back. With Tim Patrick, it's a name I want them to bring back, but he's that like mild contributor wide receiver role. It's all about chemistry, so it could be something that they retain if Goff likes him that much, which from what I've seen, I would think he does. Kevin Zeitler, I would also see being retained along with Dan Skipper, but you can't retain everybody, so it very well could be Giovanni Manu's spot to take, and they go ahead and rock with him. They also had Christian Mahogany, who took some snaps this year and played great. So, there's options. You don't have to stick with Zeitler. So Dan Skipper, celebrity up here. I imagine he's coming back. I wouldn't think he's going anywhere else. 68 mil, good position to work with, and I'm excited to see what the offseason brings for the line, since I have nothing else to look forward to. Then we got the Rams, who also lost. They got $49 million. They are losing some tackles. Joseph Noteboom, Alaric Jackson, Bobby Brown on defense, Marcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell out of the wide receiver room, and then Christian Roseboom also on defense. Out of this group, I think you retain your tackles. You want to keep some offensive line consistency, and while it hasn't been, top end, it's been pretty good. And with those wide receivers I mentioned, they're, as I said, with Tim Patrick, that like middle of the road contributor role. Not to say that they haven't like done enough to prove that they're worth an extension, but it's the money that needs to talk well. And if they want to stay with Stafford and take that little bit of pay cut so that way they can continue to extend this window, then that's something to be considered. With Roseboom, I would imagine he's back. I just have that vibe. I feel like he's been a big enough contributor to not ask for too much, and also, come back to continue being on this team and liking where he's at. But that's all I really have on the Rams here.
Yeah, the other thing is that Cooper Kupp his future's a little uncertain, because he may want out, he may want some more money, and I could definitely see him going to a non-contender. Honestly, I think is because if he wants to be on a contender, he's gonna have to take a pay cut, and if he's gonna take a pay cut to be on a contender, just stay in LA. Like, come on. But if you want more money, you go somewhere like the Chargers or something, where they're good, but they've got money. Right? Chargers have money? Yeah, they got money. Chargers have money. They kind of need some receiver help, some solid receiver help, and I could see him working out there. Really take any of the teams that have photoshopped T. Higgins into their uniforms, and you could see Kupp going there as well. I'm talking about my own Patriots. I'd rather not have another shifty slot guy, but good receivers are hard to come by, so we'll take anything we can get.
Then we get shifty white receiver. I think I know exactly where he's gonna go.
Freaking Kupp and Edelman talked about it on a podcast. They were like, yeah, anytime any white receiver comes in the league, they're comp to one of us. And when Kupp was coming to the league, his comp was Edelman, and when Edelman was coming to the league, his comp was Welker. And like, it's just
a pipeline.
It's a pipeline of just a shifty slot guy. That's all that is similar there.
First guy in, last guy out.
Anywho, lunch pail. Getting on to the Ravens, the last to lose this weekend. They're losing Patrick McCarry, Ronnie Stanley, Trey White, Ben Cleveland, and Brandon Stevens. Stevens had 17 starts this year, so he started every game for the Ravens. He is a DB, I believe.
Yes.
I know I put him on the list, but I don't fucking remember.
I double checked.
Ronnie Stanley is a name that as a Patriots fan, we need offensive line. He's a name that I've seen brought up a lot as one we should hand a blank check to. So I think it does depend on if he wants to compete to get a ring, stay in oh my God, Baltimore. There we go.
There you go.
Be more. Stay in Baltimore if you want a ring. Come to the Patriots if you want some money. We got $153 million with your name on it. Can't give it all to you, but we can give you a lot. And then guys like Trey White, Brandon Stevens, I could see coming back on like a 1-year deal. Trey White, maybe a little less so. He's probably looking towards retirement. And then Ben Cleveland, any other offensive line guys, probably you'd want to keep around. just as many as you can.
Yeah,
Only 17
it's
million in
tough.
cap space, so
Yeah,
so
it's
Ronnie
tough with that
Stanley,
much money.
yeah, Ronnie Stanley may be gone. That's kind of the fear, but yeah, that's it. We didn't really touch on the draft needs of these teams too much like we did the first time around, but you didn't see that first time around, so
Yeah,
we're
we
just going over the
changed it
players they're
up.
losing.
You know, you missed the great debut. We had to change it up. I had to throw in, my speed run there. Try to get that as fast as I can.
But it's not your fault. It's not your fault.